Good morning, everybody. Dr. Rick here. I hope that you guys are off to a great start this week, this month. We're already into the second month of the year. Seems like it was just yesterday we were talking about going into the new year and what we were going to do in the new year and all these other aspirations and desires. And yet here we are now in February. And the question is, how much of what we desire to do and get anchored in have we actually anchored ourselves in? Where are you now in comparison to your desires and expectations for this year? And it doesn't really matter where you're at in the sense of what's possible, but it does give you some insight into what needs to happen moving forward. But I wish you the best. What I want to do before I get started is point you to the description box. Today, I am offering my Bronze Mini. The Bronze Mini is basically a half of the bronze package, which means 6 sessions. It's the most condensed or the smallest package I offer. 6 sessions of intense engagement. And you'll see why that's important as we move through this thing. But today only, I am offering an additional 4 sessions added to that at no additional price. You can read the information on it in the description box, but I wanted to make you aware of that. So I want to talk to you about 3 things that left unchecked will disrupt your life, will impact you emotionally and mentally, will make it extremely difficult for you to experience any consistent success, and will negatively impact your health. The first thing is surrendering your personal sovereignty. And this happens primarily, basically, in the morning. If you wake up in the morning, there are a couple of ways you can surrender your personal sovereignty. The one that to me is most blaring and no one should be doing, just period, is picking up your device, your tablet, your phone, jumping on your computer the moment you wake up. Why is that? Because when you pick up your phone in the morning, the first thing, whatever's on that phone is going to set your state for the day, your mental state, your emotional state. It's going to set the baseline from what you will experience the remainder of your day. It's going to set the lens through which you view everything that happens after that. What you have to do is claim your personal sovereignty, and you do that by setting your state. You do that by declaring in your awakening moment where you're at. I love to start my day with gratitude. I love to start my day with thankfulness. Gratitude is the gateway to abundance. When you are grateful, everything else you're seeking will flow through that gate of gratitude. But if you have an inability to be appreciative, an inability to be thankful, an inability to actually appreciate what is in front of you, it's going to be very difficult to create the mindset, the energy, and the thought processes that will produce something greater, something more in a progressive manner. So the first thing is that. So the second way that you surrender that, though, is by immediately leaning into the fears of what's coming. Because as you set your state, you're also predicting your day. Let me give you an example. Do you remember growing up as a kid and that was something really super going to happen? You were going to go to an amusement park. You were going to go to the beach. It was camp day, whatever it was. And you woke up with this unbelievable excitement because something was going to happen. And you didn't know everything that was going to happen, but you knew it was going to be fun. You had all of this excitement and and your day flowed smoothly. And we had this ability over and over as children to sit up and get excited about things before they happen. And as we became older, we started to fall into the grind of what we don't like, what we don't want to do, what we fear will happen, what we are worried about, and what we're anxious about. In the book of Philippians, Paul is writing to the church in Philippi, and he says to them, "Be anxious for nothing, but in everything through prayer and supplication, make your requests known unto God, and the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds." Over and over and over and over and over again. In ancient literature, especially spiritual literature, you're told to guard your hearts and mind. You're told to be aware of your thoughts. He told the church in Corinth, he said that we don't walk in the flesh. We walk in the flesh. Although we walk in the flesh, we do not war according to the flesh, for the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. They're mighty in God for the pulling down of strongholds. Then he tells you how they're mighty. He says, casting down arguments and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God, bringing every thought into captivity to the obedience of what? Of Christ. But and whether your faith is in this vein or your faith is Islam, your faith is whatever. The bottom line is there's a superior force in your life. And in that superior force, that dictation is how I manage my mentality, how I manage my emotions, how I control those things are going to be a determining factor of how my life plays out. So then the warfare is waged where? Here in the mind. So when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I have to understand, the first thing I have to do is be willing to develop a mindset that is conducive of the type of day that I want to have. So I don't wake up worrying about what I might face. There are going to be some things that didn't turn out the way I wanted to the day before. There are going to be some things I know that are waiting on me, but those aren't the things I'm focusing on. He later on in that same book, he goes to the church in Philippi after Philippians 4:7. He goes down and it is 4:8, and he says, "Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever things are true, whatever things are pure, whatever things are honorable, whatever things of good report, if there's anything praise, excellence, if there's anything worthy of praise, meditate on these things." And the word that's used to meditate is logizomai, and what it means is to give account of, to be aware of, to assess, to take a toll and a tally of. And so in other things, you should be looking at the things that are the positive things in your life, focusing on the positive things, creating a mindset of gratitude, creating a mindset of expectation. And it's in the expectation of something great happening, not in the things that I can just simply predict, not just in the things but in the unexpected, the opportunities that present themselves in the unexpected are just as potent, if not more potent, than the things that I know. Well, I know this is going to happen. If I just do this, this is going to happen. I know that this client is going to do this and if I close this deal, that's going to, but it's the unexpected. It is the energy you create. And there's scientific data now that shows that your thoughts are producing an energy. Your thoughts, your words are producing a level of energy that can be measured on the Hertz scale. And if your thoughts are floating around in the area of worry, anxiety, fear, anger, frustration, bitterness, jealousy, envy, any of those are 250 hertz or lower, they're called low vibration. So when you hear somebody talking about low vibration, it's not some nuanced conversation. It's literally saying scientifically, your thought process have dropped you and your frequency. And here's the thing, energy is resonant. What does that mean? Energy attracts like energy. So have you ever sit up and this is where the term "I can't win for losing" comes from. Why? Something bad happens. You engage that something bad and it becomes the primary focus. Instead of sitting up focusing on the solution, focusing on how you're going to overcome it, you focus on what went wrong and you can't let it go. The next thing is the energy drops and you start to attract something else. And then you start to view things through the lens of those negative experiences. And now you're attracting negative people, negative conversation. You're looking at everything. So even when something good happens, you see it in a negative light, and then you literally lose the good and you push it away. You repel it. And you create this environment. And the only way to change it is to come out of that environment. And the quickest way to change it is, again, gratitude. Gratitude, when you say, I'm thankful, when you say I'm grateful, immediately puts you at 500 hertz. 500 hertz. This is where healing begins. Literally, listen to me. At 500 hertz, all of the negative energy that comes from stress and anger and all this other stuff, and those emotions are gone. At 500 hertz, the gene expression changes. There's an epigenetic influence. There's an epigenetic influence. I just did a symposium on epigenetics a little over a week ago. What was it? The 27th. Yeah. So what happens is this: you get an elevation in your emotional state, gratitude, 500 hertz. At 500 hertz, there's an epigenetic shift. That, in other words, the frequency and the vibration communicates to the genes. The genes then respond. At high levels of stress, you downregulate the genes that are meant to control and protect your health, your immune system, and other things that do that. That gene is downregulated or turned off, and you upregulate disease genes. We have learned now that a vast majority of cancers are environmentally, by way of stress, produced through epigenetic influences on gene expression. So in other words, we know when someone say you're worried sick or you're worried to death, there's some truth in that, because what you're doing is literally allowing your own thoughts to attack your body. The basic term for it is psychosomatics, the connection between mind and body. They're intertwined. They're not unique and exclusive of one another. They work both hand in hand. So then what happens when you get to gratitude? Then gratitude opens the way. Then the next one is love. Love is roughly about 600 to 650 hertz. And then you can move up to 750 hertz, and that's where stuff gets beautiful. The 750 hertz is revelation. This is where you start to experience new ideas, new thoughts, new visions. Information is coming in that you are unaware of. This is the new stuff, the revelation, the exploration of ideas, thoughts, and possibilities. This is where creation and imagination take over. This is where you get close enough to the mind of God that you start to hear God give you the answers to your problems. This is where you're supposed to be in prayer, not in emotional stupor, in a state, but in experiencing God. I tell people all the time when I'm talking to them and we're on that spiritual conversation and I'm asking them about their prayer life, my question is, okay, give me an example of your average everyday prayer when you pray. And they'll tell me how they start their prayer. They'll tell me how they go into their prayer, what they focus on, and how they prioritize their prayers. And I listen to them and I go, okay, so in that prayer can take what, 15 minutes? And whatever it is, it's different for every person. Let's just say that prayer took 15 minutes. And said, in that 15 minutes, I heard everything you have to say. And you said amen, which means that's closing out your prayer. At what time did you stop and listen? In what conversations do you have in which there is growth and empowerment, where there's a one-sided conversation from the one that does not have the answer? The answer has to come from the one who has the answer. And if all I'm doing is talking, I'm not listening. There's not a whole lot. Matter of fact, there's absolutely nothing I can tell God that God doesn't know. But that's the things you want to communicate. But the thing is, you got to be willing to hear. And you hear when you reach the point of revelation. That's what prayer is. See, we confuse prayer. See, prayer is about revolution. Faith is about execution. Let me say that again. Prayer is about revelation. Prayer is about, power is about execution. So prayer is where you get the answers. Prayer is where you get the confidence. Prayer is where you get reminded and assured. But you are required to execute. This is a life of faith. This is a life of discovery. This is a life of understanding who I am and what I'm here for. And then I tell people all the time, you can pray all day. God's never going to deliver you from the giants he sent you to slay. You were put here to do something exceptional. You were put here to do something extraordinary. You were put here to make a difference. And no, it's not going to be easy. No, it's not going to just be something you flow through untouched. This is about showing a world the power of God through your life. And what that means is people have to see what you're able to stand up to, what you're able to overcome, what you're able to create, and what you created it out of, in order to understand that there's something that they can do differently when they make the same connection. And if you don't live that life, you never truly explore the fullness of your potential and the potential of your design, and you fail the designer. But that's that. So The next thing is what I put on here. We tend to fear or run away from the unexpected instead of learning how to lean into the embrace the unexpected. The unexpected is where extraordinary things happen. See, one of the things that'll happen is you'll get caught up in the mundane consistency and predictability of your life. See, what happens is when you consistently consult your mind or you consistently consult your past for permission to do something new in the future, you never get anything but what you've already experienced. So you end up repeating the cycle of what you've lived because you're consulting your past in order to determine what's going to happen in the future. See, in order to really truly develop something different, to do something greater, to move beyond what you've already experienced, you've got to explore something you've never explored. And you can't explore that in the past. You explore that in your mind. If you can conceive it in your mind, it's God's evidence that it's possible. So what you want is the unexpected, because the unexpected challenges you to seek an answer outside of your own experience. And in the seeking of that answer, you discover things that you never thought about. Ideas flow to your head. It's coming from the mind of God as you open up, because what? Revelation takes you to 750 hertz. This is the beauty of this thing. It's that get the mysticism out of what you understand about God and start saying, how is this practically applied? You know, there's all this supernatural stuff going on, but how is it applied? How do I participate? How do I become involved in the supernatural things that are happening around the world? And how do I experience the supernatural favor of God? It's not by convincing God to do anything. It's about stepping into what you've already been given. It's about giving more priority and validity to your faith in what God has given you and the promises of God than you do to the problem. See, most people focus on the problem. Most people are circumstantial and situational. What do I mean by that? Most people are sitting there and whatever they're going through is going to dictate their emotions. I have a rule. I have a 90-second rule. It started out as a 24-hour rule, and I just realized that I could pretty much bring that down, and I could save myself a whole lot of time and stress. Because when I allow a bad situation to stress me out, I do what? I cause my body to turn on itself. I'm down regulating the genes that are ensuring that I'm fighting off things that I shouldn't have in my body, and I'm upregulating the genes that are causing mutations, that are causing attacks on the healthy parts of my body, and all of these things. And this is how you end up with illnesses. So I don't want that type of situation, no matter what I'm going through. See, I don't control the situation all the time. I don't control everything that happens in my life, but I do control how I respond to it. So what do? I have a 90-second rule. I got 90 seconds when something happens that I don't like, to be mad, to be frustrated, to feel sorry for myself, to talk about everything that's happening and going wrong. And then I've got to snap out of it and move into the place of revelation where I get the answer. I get the solution. I understand. I get reminded of who I am. I get reminded of what I'm capable of. I get reminded of why I'm here. And then when I recenter myself within that 90 seconds, it's about getting out and getting it done. It's about focusing on the solution instead of the problem. People have come to me over the course of my life at different times when things weren't going the way that I thought they should go, when things were really going terrible if you are to measure them from a circumstantial perspective. And they're looking at my circumstances and they're going, "You're in denial. How in the hell are you sitting here smiling when you're going through this? How are you sitting here smiling when this is falling apart? How are you sitting here smiling when you thought this was going this way and it went that way? All these things are moving again. How are you see, the thing is, you're focused on my circumstances. I'm sitting in a spiritual state where I have a promise by my very design and my capacity, my potential, and my gifting that where I am headed is what I will receive. In other words, I'm already living in what I'm going to be. I'm already living in where I'm going. I'm already living in the victory that I will experience. I'm not sitting here whining and wallowing in this situation because this circumstance isn't bigger than my spiritual connection to God. There's something in my spirit that disagrees with the circumstance, and therefore I am overcoming the circumstance. Circumstances and situations are temporal. This is what I teach my clients. Don't get overwhelmed. I don't care how bad it is. Acknowledge it. I'm never in denial. I know what's going on. I just refuse to let anything that's not in alignment with my vision, my dream, my desires, and my purpose overwhelm me. I'm going to remind myself God built this temple. I'm going to remind myself God gave me this mind. And if I can conceive it in my mind, no matter how outlandish it is to everyone else, I can do it. And that's the thing that we've got to do. Stop running from uncertainties. Stop hiding from the unexpected and say, whatever comes, I'm built for this. There were some times in my life that I didn't have the answer immediately when I went into it. And that's the beautiful thing about understanding how things work in this world is you can not have the answer, but still be okay. Why? Because you know the answer is always on its way. The answers are from the what did the angel of God tell Daniel after 3 weeks of praying and fasting and not hearing anything? He told him, he says, Daniel, man dearly beloved, from the moment that you set your heart to understand, your words were heard. And I have come because of your words. Then he explained to him, but I was withstood 3 weeks by the prince of Persia. We're talking about spiritual warfare. We're talking about there's some people in your periphery right now hoping for your demise. There's some people literally speaking more on your life than you are yourself. That's why you got to constantly visit the vision, constantly. That's why he told, but he said, write the vision and make it plain. Why? Because you're going to have to revisit the vision, because there are going to be some things that are going to come along and try to redirect you off the vision. There are going to be some people who are literally down talking you. There are going to be some people who are literally sitting up and wishing for your demise, hoping and praying for your demise. And you're going to have to be willing to speak it, talk it, think it, and move it, even when you don't feel it. There's something in my spirit that disagrees with negative circumstances. It's not that they're not there, it's that they don't have the right or the power to dictate the outcome of my life. So then what must you do? You must sit up and say that I am moving into it. And finally, what is the next thing? We fail to use the power of meditation to settle ourselves and establish a sense of peace, high expectations. See, God only meets you at the level of your expectations. That's what faith is. Faith says, this is what I believe will happen. Whatever you sit up and believe, you should declare a thing and shall be established for you, right? What did he tell Moses to tell the Israelites, the Hebrews, when they decided they were going to listen to the 10 spies instead of listening to Caleb and Joshua? What did he tell them? What did he tell them? He said, go back and tell them I've heard their complaints against me. And in studying this and going through and evaluating, I consistently was like, what did they complain against God? When God said they could, and they said they couldn't, they called God a lie. God said, tell them I've heard their complaints against me, and as they have spoken in my hearing, so shall I do to them. They were speaking their faith. I don't believe we can take those people over there. God said, okay, you can't. Socrates, some 600 years later, would sit up and say that he who believes he can and who believes he can are usually both right. Henry Ford will later, 2,000 years later, say the same. Well, 2,300 years later, say the same thing. What is he saying? What you believe is possible. It's possible. What you believe to be impossible is impossible. But you have promises that nothing shall be impossible. So then what are you going to believe is the question. And it's those beliefs. So then how does meditation work? Meditation isn't some magic mystical. It's a place where you literally put a do not disturb sign on your mind. You control what comes in, and you sit there and you create a mindset and an atmosphere that settles your emotions, that raises your expectation, that illuminates your vision, that increases your confidence and settles your spirit. And you control that. And in meditation isn't that hard to learn. But literally, meditation has been proven to increase and improve health benefits, lower blood pressure, uh, inexplicable and unexplained healing of severe illnesses, success in business and finance can all be linked to the ability to practice regularly meditating. That's why I said meditate on the things that are what? Pure, good, praiseworthy, noble. Stop focusing on the negative. And matter of fact, when you're in meditation, what you do is you put up do not disturb, which nothing negative is allowed in. We're not focusing on what's wrong. We're not focusing on who doesn't like us. We're not focused on what somebody said about us. We're not focused on the mistakes of yesterday. We're not focused on the unexpected of today. We're focused on what we know we are going to do in this world. And the thing is, once you have declared your destiny, there's absolutely nothing. The only point that can stop it is you. Matter of fact, one of my favorite quotes from a movie is from the movie Deja Vu. And in the movie, Denzel is trying to stop this guy in the past from blowing up something he's already blown up in the future. And he's in the past with the guy, and the guy looks at him and says, "Do you know the definition of destiny?" And Denzel says, "No, what?" He says, "The more you try to stop it, you only ensure that it happens." So when I look at people and I know they don't mean me any good, when I look at people and I know that they are plotting and planning my demise, when I look at situations, I am reminded that the more you try to stop me, you only ensure that it happens. You can become a part of my destiny, but you can't stop it. That's the mentality and the mindset. When you start to focus on those things, exceptional and extraordinary things start to manifest in your life. I wish you the best. I want you to win. I want you to be everything God designed you to be. I want you to experience your desires. I want you to pursue your calling. It's up to you. For those of you who would want to work with me, those who know that I've reduced the number of people I'm working with on a one-on-one basis as we expand the reach and the work that we're doing at the Visionetics Institute. But I still love this one-on-one encounter. I live in it, and I wish you the best. Right now, there's a special on the Bronze Mini, which is normally a 6-week encounter. We are doing an extra 4 weeks for people who register today. The information is in the box. But whatever you do, make up in your mind that you are going to be committed to managing and controlling your state. Because when you do that, it's impossible for the outside exogenous external forces in this world to shut you down. On that note, I'm ready to get out of here. As I always say, I live my life on full so that when I leave this place, I die on E. Take care.